guys, welcome back to my channel. For those of you who are new to my channel, my name is Maddie, and on this channel you're going to hear about all things Disney and Universal because that's what I love most. For this video, we are going to be talking about my very personal favorite top 5 rides at Universal Studios Orlando and Universal Studios Hollywood. I'm choosing only those two parks because those are the only two Universal Studios parks that I've been to. One day I'll hopefully make it to Singapore and Japan's Universal Studios parks. But for now we're just going to talk about those two. So I'm going to go through some of my top 5 rides, and then at the very end I'll give you a list of my honorable mentions. Alright guys, let's get started. So I'm first going to be talking about my number 5 favorite ride at Universal Studios Orlando and Hollywood. And this is a ride that is still open in Orlando, but actually closed in Universal Studios Hollywood quite a few years ago to make way for some wonderful new rides. So that ride that I'm talking about is E.T.'s Adventure. This is an amazing ride. It's considered a dark ride, and it is still at Universal Studios Florida. It originally opened at Universal Studios Orlando in 1990, so about 5 years before I was born. This is a great ride, and in its early days, you could ride on either a bicycle or a spaceship, which was super awesome. But later on in 2004, the spaceships were removed, just for safety reasons. But at the Universal Studios Orlando ride, you can still ride on bicycles. So the park car is a bunch of bicycles kind of all hooked up to a floor, and you go through and you save E.T., and it's a great ride. It really brings me back to my childhood because E.T. was one of the very first classic movies that I ever saw. So it's a really great one for me. And the one in Orlando has that smell that you just know is E.T., which is super cool. It's kind of a mix of like old plastic and chlorinated water. I don't know, but it's something that always reminds me of the ride, and whenever I smell it, I can definitely think in my head to the E.T. ride. So that is my number 5 favorite ride at Universal Studios Orlando and Hollywood. Alright guys, on to my number 4 favorite ride at Universal Studios Orlando and Hollywood is the Back to the Future ride. Now this ride used to be at Universal Studios Orlando and Hollywood, but they both closed down to make way for, at Orlando, the Simpsons ride, and at Universal Hollywood, Minions Mayhem. So this was a great ride, but unfortunately it did have to make way for more kind of modern day Universal Studios movies, which is okay because both those rides are super fun. Alright, so the original Universal Studios Orlando Back to the Future ride opened up May 2nd, 1991. So about 4 years before I was born. And it goes after the Back to the Future Part 3. It's kind of like a mini movie that comes right after the Back to the Future Part 3 actual franchise movie. And the whole ride is a simulator ride. So just like in nowadays Simpsons ride, you go into a room and there's a car in the room that has a 3D screen, and your car kind of like lifts up and you go around and things like that. It was super fun. I loved it. I sometimes had to limit my times going on it when I was at the park because I got a little claustrophobic after a while. But the Back to the Future movie franchise is one of my favorite movie franchises, so I had to go on it every single time I went to the park. It was super great. I loved it a lot, and I missed it a lot too. It was a really great ride. Alright guys, for my number 3 top favorite ride at Universal Studios Orlando and Hollywood is the Revenge of the Mummy ride. This is a great ride. It's an enclosed roller coaster, which just means that it's a roller coaster inside of a building. This roller coaster was originally opened at the Orlando Park May 21st, 2004. I distinctly remember seeing all the advertisements like on TV and everything for this ride when it was opening because I was in about 4th or 5th grade at that time. And I was so excited to go on it, and to this day this ride does not disappoint. This ride is also in the Hollywood Universal Studios Park. It is on the lower lot right next to Transformers, but the two rides, even though they have the same name and the same storyline, the tracks are a little bit different. But my personal favorite is the one at Orlando because it is just a little bit longer and has a few more scenes, which is super cool. This ride is also at the Singapore resort, which is really cool. One day I'll hopefully get to go on it. And I just love this ride so much. It's so much fun, and it goes backwards, and it's super fast, and I love roller coasters, so why wouldn't I like this ride? All right, guys, on to my number 2 top favorite ride at Universal Studios Hollywood or Orlando is The Incredible Hulk. This is an amazing roller coaster. Back when the park first opened, this was one of the original roller coasters that was in the park. So this ride opened on May 28th, 1999, 4 years after I was born. And this is a really great roller coaster. It's a launch roller coaster, which means at the beginning of the ride, you're like pulled back and then launched out of a tube, which is super fun and creates such an amazing thrill for the riders. This is a similar mechanism as like Rocking Roller Coaster and rides like that. So it's super fun. Just like the name suggests, this ride is actually themed after the Marvel superhero, the Incredible Hulk, the big green guy who fights with like Captain America and Iron Man and all of them. It's super, super awesome, and the queue of the ride is even more incredible. It goes through the laboratory of the scientist of the Hulk, and it's super fun. And the track is green, so if you've ever seen any type of advertising for Universal Studios Hollywood / Islands of Adventure, which Islands of Adventure is where this ride is located, you've definitely seen pictures of the Incredible Hulk because you can honestly see it from the highway in Orlando. It's such an amazing ride. All right, guys, for my number 1 favorite ride at Universal Studios Orlando and Hollywood is the ever popular Harry Potter and the Forbidden Journey. Now, this is an amazing ride. It's a motion-based dark ride, and the ride car is honestly the first of its kind. It's absolutely incredible. You're sitting in a 4-person bench seat, and each person has their individual like pull down, which is super cool. But the bench is actually attached to a giant arm that goes along a track and moves you around. It is the most amazing thing, and whoever invented this is honestly a genius because to this day I still don't understand how it works. This ride is super amazing, and the first one to open was actually the Universal Studios Orlando Park. So go hometown, we rock. This ride first opened June 18th, 2010, so I was a freshman in high school. And I remember the advertising for Harry Potter World just being amazing. The last movie had recently come out, so the hype of Harry Potter was still real. I mean, not that it's not real today, but things were still coming out and everyone was anticipating this park. It was to walk into a part of a park that you've been reading about your whole life and actually physically be able to touch things like this was incredible. And this ride is the most amazing thing. I thought that the Transformers and the Spider-Man ride was like revolutionary, but this ride takes the cake. It is one of the most incredible things you've ever been on, and it takes you through so many different Harry Potter scenes that you know. You know the Forbidden Forest, you know the Whomping Willow, you know the car, the flying car, you know the dragon, you know the Quidditch pitch, you know the Dementors, and you see all of this. All of the Harry Potter characters are in it. You fly along with Ron and Harry through a Quidditch match. Draco Malfoy is even there. Hermione saves you from spiders in the Forbidden Forest. It's honestly incredible. You even get to go into the Chamber of Secrets. So if you ever get the chance to go to this park, I highly recommend you go and do Harry Potter and the Forbidden Journey. Alright guys, that was my top 5 favorite rides at Universal Orlando and Hollywood, but there's so many rides to choose from with the 3 parks that I just had to do some honorable mentions, so here they are. Alright guys, in no particular order, here are my honorable mentions. First we have Harry Potter and the Escape from Gringotts. Now this is a newer ride at the Universal Studios Park, and it is in the new Harry Potter section at Universal Studios Orlando. I'm not sure if this ride is ever going to come to Universal Studios Hollywood just because of the space, but it's definitely a ride that if you're ever in Orlando, you should definitely check out. My next honorable mention is the Backlot Tour at Universal Studios Hollywood. I am a lover of all things movies, obviously, and I love seeing how they're made and TV shows, music videos, commercials, things like that. And the Backlot at Universal Studios Hollywood is so historic that I have to go on this ride every single time I go because you never know who you might see. My next honorable mention is the Transformers ride. Both Orlando and Hollywood have this ride, and just like Spider-Man, it is an enclosed simulator ride, and you're going along and you're gonna save the day with all of your favorite Transformers. And my last honorable mention is a ride that is specifically at Universal Studios Orlando, and it is the Men in Black ride. Now, just like Buzz Lightyear at Disneyland and Disney World, this is a ride where you get to shoot some aliens and score some points. It's super cool, and don't forget to hit the red button at the end of the ride. Alright guys, that has been your very first top 5 with me, Maddie. Stay tuned for more of this top 5 series. I have a lot more ideas of things that I'm going to do top 5s of, and if there's any that you want to see, let me know in the comments below. And if you're new to my channel, here are all of my social media links. I have 3 Instagram accounts, so if you want to give them a follow, they're going to be right here. Alright guys, I will see you next time, and this has been Maddie's Top 5. Alright, have a good day guys. Bye!